Oprah likes to ask guests on her Super Soul Sunday podcast this question: would you consider yourself spiritual? The answer is always yes, or they wouldn't be on her podcast. But sometimes they'll make it a point to clarify that they're spiritual, but not religious.
What you just said is the key, that unlocks the path to a successful life.
Oprah's podcast is just one of the millions of pieces of online content created to guide people on their spiritual journey. The messages don't always mention God. Instead, terms like the universe or the source are preferred. And it's the internet that lends itself really well to this kind of messaging. Paul McClure, assistant professor at Lynchberg College, has done extensive research on technology's impact on religious practice. He says social media has become a ripe playground for religious tinkering. People are inherently more open to new information when they're browsing the internet. This idea of religious tinkering means that people are more apt to pick and choose bits and pieces of spiritual beliefs that resonate, so that they can then ultimately build their own individual set of beliefs.
Social media has a pluralizing effect, not necessarily a secularizing effect. It's not making everybody through and through atheists.
This comes at an interesting time when Pew Research shows that there's a rising number of young people who identify as religious nuns. To see if this was true, I set out on the streets of Pasadena, California, to see why so many people consider themselves spiritual but not religious.
I don't so much reject religion, but I find truths in lots of different religions. I definitely lean more towards Eastern religions.
Maybe because religious would mean tied to religion, and I don't feel tied to one religion.
I was a practicing Muslim, and it was rules and conformity, right? You're supposed to pray at a certain time and what have you, and I couldn't have any conversations around evolution, right? I couldn't question what was there.
People want to see themselves as free agents today, unaffiliated really with any religious tradition.
Nikki Hayden is a spiritual healer. Her clients come to her when they're trying to find connection to some sort of higher source.
Most of my clients are of a younger generation, and so most of them have grown up with some kind of religion that they've innately not connected to in some way or the other.
For Hayden, she sees social media as part of the spiritual process.
People say it's very trendy to be spiritual right now. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's great that people are connecting more to something else, even if they don't even know exactly what that means yet, even if they just like to follow people because they have pretty pictures of crystals, whatever. Everyone's going to find their own journey in their own way.
So, while the number of religiously unaffiliated individuals are growing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're atheists. Rather, people are choosing to build their own version of spirituality. And having access to the internet is encouraging them to do just that.